Imagine finding the private, handwritten diary of the most powerful man on earth, written not in a palace but in a war tent at the edge of the known world. This is not a book of theory, it is a manual for survival, written by a man grappling with immense pressure. His name was Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome. Forget the image of a philosopher in a peaceful garden. For nearly 2 decades of his reign, Marcus was at war. He faced constant combat on the frontier, a devastating plague that killed millions of his people, the betrayal of his closest general, and the unbearable grief of burying at least 8 of his own children. He was surrounded by death, disease, and deception, and in the middle of that chaos, every single night he lit a lamp and wrote to himself. He wasn't writing a memoir or a history, he was training his mind. He was reminding himself how to be a good person in a world that seemed to be falling apart. That private journal is what we now call meditations. Today we are not just going to review this book, we are going to decode it. We will extract 7 timeless, life-changing lessons from his private thoughts, lessons that are more relevant now than ever before, to help us build our own inner citadel. Lesson 1. Build your armor before you enter the battle of the day. Marcus knew that his biggest struggles wouldn't come from the enemy army, but from the people he had to deal with daily. So he began each morning with a practice we now call premeditatio malorum. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." Now, this sounds incredibly pessimistic, but look closer. It's a brilliant psychological strategy. He wasn't complaining, he was preparing. It is a form of emotional vaccination. By anticipating that people would be difficult, he robbed their behavior of its power to shock, anger, or disappoint him. When his general was lazy, he wasn't surprised. When a senator was deceitful, he was already prepared. He had already factored human nature into his equation for the day. How do most of us start our day? We grab our phones. We are immediately reacting to other people's emergencies, other people's opinions, other people's drama. We start the day on defense. Marcus started the day on offense. He built his mental fortress before anyone could attack it. He reminded himself, get up, do the work of a human being. Why are you complaining if you're going to do what you were born for? He trained himself to expect friction so he could meet it with grace. Lesson 2. The source of your suffering is never the event itself, but your opinion about it. This is perhaps the most central idea in all of Stoicism, and Marcus returns to it over and over. He knew that the world would throw things at him. Betrayal, loss, pain. He could not control that. But the story he told himself about those events, that was entirely his. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This is a radical declaration of independence. It means nothing outside of you can truly harm you without your consent. He later says it even more bluntly, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Think of it this way. You're giving a presentation, and someone in the audience yawns. That is the event. It is a neutral fact. Your mind, however, immediately applies a judgment. I'm boring. They hate my presentation. I'm a failure. That judgment is what causes the anxiety, the shame, the suffering. The yawn itself had no power. You gave it power. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to create a space between the event and his judgment. He would see what happened and stop. He would analyze it objectively. He wrote, "Today I escaped from anxiety," or "No, I discarded it, because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside." He understood that anxiety isn't a force that attacks you from the world. It is a poison you mix yourself inside your own mind. The first step to freedom is to simply stop mixing the drink. Lesson 3. Every obstacle is fuel. Once Marcus had mastered his perception, he turned his attention to action. He knew life would be a series of obstacles. His genius was in reframing them not as barriers, but as raw material. He wrote the most famous line in all of Stoicism, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." His guiding metaphor for this was a blazing fire. He understood that a small, weak flame could be extinguished by the first bit of trouble. But a great fire, a well-trained, virtuous mind can take any obstacle and use it. It consumes the negative and transforms it into heat and light. Consider the ultimate test he faced. His most trusted general, Avidius Cassius, betrayed him and declared himself emperor, plunging the empire into civil war. This was the ultimate obstacle. How did Marcus react? With rage? With fear? No, he saw it as fuel. An opportunity to practice the virtues of forgiveness, magnanimity, and leadership. He told his soldiers he hoped Cassius wouldn't be killed because he wanted to forgive him in person. He used the worst betrayal imaginable as a chance to be his best self. The obstacle truly became the way. Whatever you face today, a difficult client, a technical problem, an unfair criticism, ask yourself this: how can a great fire use this? How can I turn this into fuel for patience, for creativity, for courage? That is how you transform your life from a series of problems to a series of opportunities. Lesson 4. To shrink your problems, you must first shrink your ego. When Marcus felt overwhelmed by the weight of the Roman Empire, he employed a powerful visualization technique, what we now call the view from above. He used a cosmic perspective to put his earthly troubles in their proper place. I want you to try this with me now. Find a comfortable position, close your eyes if you can, take a deep breath. Now, in your mind's eye, picture yourself right where you are, in this moment. See the details of the room around you. Gently begin to float upwards. See the roof of your building, your street, your entire neighborhood spreading out below you like a map. Higher still, see the shape of your city, a patch of light and life. See the rivers, the mountains, the coastlines of your country. Float higher now, breaking through the atmosphere. Look down upon the beautiful silent sphere of our planet, a blue and white marble suspended in the vast velvet blackness of space. See the continents where all of human history has played out. Every war, every hug, every birth, every death, all on that tiny stage. Now go further. See the Earth shrink, becoming just another planet orbiting our sun. See the sun itself become just another star, one of billions in our Milky Way galaxy, and then higher still, until our entire galaxy is nothing more than a single tiny swirl of light among countless, uncountable others in the silent, infinite expanse of the universe. Now, from this place of profound silence and scale, ask yourself, where is that problem that is causing you so much stress? Where is that insult? Where is that anxiety? In the face of this immensity, what is its true size? It becomes almost nothing, a speck of dust on a speck of dust. You haven't solved the problem. You have dissolved the ego's attachment to it. You have traded anxiety for awe. Now gently bring your awareness back to our galaxy, our sun, our earth, back to your room. Welcome back. That is the perspective of a philosopher king. Lesson 5. Use death as your advisor. The practice of memento mori, remember you will die, was a cornerstone of Marcus's daily reflection. This wasn't to make him depressed, it was to make him humble, focused, and grateful. It was a tool to clarify his priorities. In a world obsessed with status and legacy, he constantly reminded himself of the ultimate equalizer. He wrote one of the most powerful lines on the subject. Alexander the Great and his mule driver both died, and the same thing happened to both. He understood that all the power, all the glory, all the conquests, they all end in the same way. The universe, he said, is constant change. New things replacing old things, which will in turn be replaced. Thinking about death served a practical purpose. It stripped away the trivial. Why waste a single precious moment of your short life on petty arguments, on chasing the approval of people who will also one day be gone? On worrying about your reputation after you're dead? It's all foolishness. By keeping his own mortality at the forefront of his mind, he was able to live with a sense of urgency and purpose. It allowed him to appreciate the present moment, to treat the people around him with more patience, and to focus his energy on the only thing that truly lasts, living a life of virtue, right here, right now. He knew his time as emperor was fleeting. He knew his time as a man was fleeting, and that knowledge is not a curse, it is a gift. It is the ultimate motivation to live well. Lesson 6. You are a part of something infinitely larger than yourself. In our individualistic culture, it's easy to think that philosophy is only about self-improvement. But for Marcus, that was only half the equation. To counter the pull of selfishness, he constantly embraced his duty to what he called the common good. This beautiful metaphor was central to his worldview. He practiced what the Stoics called sympathia, the profound understanding that all things in the universe are interconnected, woven together into a single unified whole. He believed we were born for cooperation, like 2 feet, 2 hands, 2 rows of teeth. To act against another human being was, in a very real sense, to act against nature and against yourself. This perspective is a powerful antidote to modern tribalism. When we are tempted to see the world as us versus them, Marcus would remind himself that we are all citizens of the same world. He wrote, "My city and my country, so far as I am Antoninus, is Rome, but so far as I am a human being, it is the world." This mindset allowed him to act with justice and fairness, even toward those he disliked. His purpose wasn't derived from his own power or comfort. It was derived from serving the people of Rome to the best of his ability. This sense of duty gave his immense struggles a profound meaning. It directed his actions and gave him a reason to get out of his warm bed on a cold morning on the frontier. He knew his small part mattered to the health of the entire hive. The final and perhaps most liberating lesson from Marcus Aurelius is this: your character is your only true judge. In a world of politics, reputation, and social games, Marcus trained himself to be indifferent to the crowd's ever-changing applause or condemnation. He sought what he called the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do. Think about how much of our modern anxiety comes from this exact problem. We post a photo and nervously refresh for likes. We hold our tongue for fear of being judged. We change our opinions to fit in. We are living our lives for an external audience, a crowd of people whose opinions are fleeting, often uninformed, and ultimately outside of our control. We are outsourcing our self-esteem. Marcus saw this as a strange form of self-disrespect. Why would you value the opinion of someone whose character you may not even admire over your own? He worked to build an internal scorecard. At the end of the day, the only question that mattered was, did I act with virtue today? Did I live up to my own principles? The approval he sought was his own. This is the very essence of an inner citadel. It's a fortress whose walls are built from self-respect, whose foundation is your own set of principles. The praise and criticism of the outside world become like weather. You can note it, but it cannot shake the foundations of your home. The ultimate freedom is realizing you are an audience of one. The armor of preparation, the power over judgment, the fuel of obstacles, the perspective of the cosmos, the urgency of death, the duty to the whole, and the focus on your own character. This was the operating system of the philosopher king. This was the toolkit he used day after day to govern himself so that he could govern the world. Meditations was never meant to be a book. It was a practice. It was a mirror he held up to himself every single morning and night to ensure he was living in accordance with his principles. And now, 2,000 years later, we can use it as our mirror too. We can use his words to examine our own lives, to strengthen our own minds, and to build our own inner citadel, brick by brick. So the final question is for you. Which of these 7 lessons do you need to hold up as a mirror to your own life today? Let me know in the comments. And if you're ready to continue your training, subscribe and officially join the Inner Citadel.